Hey everybody, it's Mike from Here the Watchmen, and we're back today with another show of the Watchmen's Report. We're going to be talking to my dear friend, you can see him on screen right now, Mr. Josh Tolley. Josh, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, Mike, it is always good talking to you, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. And we want to, folks, I want to let you all know, and I brought Josh on partly to talk about this, and then we're going to get into some stuff with the news. But Josh can't make it to Hear the Watchman Dallas this year, March 28th through the 31st. He had a pre-booked something he has to do, and I want to tell you, he's a stand-up guy. He didn't call them and say, "Oh, well, I want to go to Hear the Watchman." He's doing what he said he'd do, and I have a lot of respect for that. Josh, what are you going to be doing?
Well, actually, we're going to be doing a number of things. So, see, if I was just double booked, that'd be easy. but that would actually make me triple booked, and I just run out of daylight. So you're right. I mean, it has been booked for quite some time. I'm speaking at a homeschooling conference. I can't even remember the name of it, to be quite honest, so I hope they're not watching. But they booked me like way long time ago. So we wanted to be there, and then we thought, well, what if I speak at the homeschooling thing, ditch out maybe a day early, hop on an airplane, head to Dallas, but then we also have a business event where we're now sponsoring motorsports.
Oh, wow.
So one of our companies is the sponsor for the Pirelli World Challenge this year, and we have that going on the same time, so it just would have made us triple booked. But we were actually trying to figure out, we even asked the homeschooling people, is there a way we can switch venues, like book us at a different one, so because we love Hear the Watchmen. That is my favorite. I've told you this. This is my favorite thing. It's the one where the organizers pay me the least, which is totally fine. But I absolutely love to do it because, like, you guys have become family. I had my girlfriend at the time at the first one. She was then my fiance at the second one. She was then my wife at the third one. She's now my baby mama at the last one. She was pregnant, and now the baby's actually here. So Here the Watchman has been there every step of the way. I just can't do it.
Yeah, the event, it's a fertile event. I mean, you can definitely say that. We've had a couple other experiences that way. So, well, we're going to miss you, but God bless you for what you're doing. I mean, that's exciting stuff. I do want to let you know, folks, right now this is sort of top secret, but we're working on it. Here the Watchman is going to have a cruise in Alaska this summer in August. And Josh and his wife, Brittany, I believe, will be there. And if we can work it all out. And it's going to be a wonderful time for people to just fellowship. And we're going to do some presentations and let Josh will also be talking about not only the Bible, but some of his business acumen as well. But we'll have more on that as time progresses. Josh, today, there's so much stuff going on in the news, and you and I love to rant. We kind of have the same perspective on things. But the first thing I want to talk to you about is I own a Gillette razor. So you can tell I don't use it very much, but I own a Gillette razor. And now all of a sudden, I'm part of the toxic male society.
Yeah.
Now, what is going on?
Well, there's an obvious attack on manhood. Gillette, for a long time saying that they were the best a man could get. I say a beard is really the best a man can get, so go with the beard. But there's this attack on masculinity, and when you look at who they hired to direct and write and produce this ad, it's obvious. They were anti-Trumpers, they're anti-conservatives, they're pro-feminists. So I have no clue why Gillette thought, hey, I have an idea. Since we are marketing to men, let's get a bunch of people who hate men to come up with the ad campaign. And what's funny is it is so backfired. The video has like 4 million views and like 300,000 thumbs downs. And all the comments are like, wow, I guess I'm going to Bic, or I guess I'm going to, whatever. So
But
But it's just the. Go ahead.
it is truly. I mean, you look at the American Psychological Association or some, I don't know, I could be wrong on that exact acronym for them, but they came out with a rather lengthy report about how the traditional male masculinity is toxic today, and we need to reinvent men. Now, the Bible tells us clearly what a man and a woman is. I mean, it's in black and white. You can see it. But why do you think
Right.
right now there is this huge attack against men? What is the agenda?
But it's not right now. See, this is why we have to have a historical perspective. We've seen this coming for 50 stinking years. When our grandparents started warning us about rock and roll, right? When they were like, oh, that's of the devil. Baby boomers like, yeah, whatever, grandma. You're just not hip. You're like a L7 weenie. Don't be square. But the reality is that it has been a downward spiral. And then came along free love. Well, now everybody gets to love each other, and if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. And then came the 80s. And the 80s came along and got rid of dads. If you look at TV shows and movies in the 80s, dads were no longer there. I mean, Disney, every single family is a broken family. Married with Children, it was all about how stupid the dad was. If you look at television commercials, the dads were dumb. Well, then the next step to that was equality for everybody, as if somehow we weren't equal before. But, you know, the next step was then, well, income inequality, and men and women have to make the same. And then the next step to that was, let's just get rid of men altogether. It's been a natural progression of downward spirals for the past 50 years.
Yeah, and you know, we just seem to see it coming more and more to a head today.
Yes.
And you know, we've got
Yes.
the Me Too movement. I mean, now, listen, I do not condone the behavior of men who take advantage of women. But the problem that I see with the Me Too movement in some cases is that it created this like open floodgate to accuse a man of something, and he was convicted and guilty before he even said a word. And I think that has fueled the entire man hatred thing that we have going right now, don't you?
Oh, beyond the shadow of a doubt. I mean, we have college campuses with policies where if you ask for a girl's number twice, you're now guilty. You are a Me Too man. So, and I'm not kidding. So what we're seeing is this actual separation where men are not even willing to date. And this is like a species level problem. We have men not even willing to date. There's the whole MTGOW movement or something like that, where men are like, nope, I'm swearing off marriage, I'm swearing off women. We have psychologists in Japan trying to figure out how to get men to even want sex anymore. The advent of these sex dolls and 3D porn is making a lot of men saying, hey, you know what? It's not worth it. It's not worth dating and flirting and possibly getting, you know, in trouble if this goes wrong, because all of a sudden, I mean, one of these pamphlets came out and said, well, if she's drunk, then it's automatically a no. Well, wait a second. Does the same hold true to him too?
Yeah,
No. That's a double standard. She can have sex with a drunk man and he's still guilty. But if she's it's to the point of this has gotten absolutely ridiculous, and we now have to worry about a species problem, which I've been talking about for 11 years. But in the past 2 weeks, every day there has been a news story on how the population rate has fallen through the floor. There are now only 2 states that even have a population rate or a fertility rate at the level even to maintain zero population growth. That means 48 states are now going backwards.
Yeah, it's frightening. I mean, it truly is. I know Utah is one of those states. I know Idaho, where I live, is way up there, but it's scary. And then what does mainstream media do? They say that the reason Utah has those sort of statistics is purely because it's a Mormon state. You know, that nice try to divert what's really going on out there. And, you know, as Christians, as Christian men and leadership as men in the church, what do you think it is we need to do?
Well, here's the ironic thing. The left is now advocating and trying to get rid of real men. Because real men, John Wayne sort of men, you know, your grandpa sort of men, if they saw a woman being abused by a man, they would take the man behind the woodshed and beat the crap out of him. Mm-hmm. Well, they wanted to get rid of John Wayne. Mm-hmm. So now they're left with a bunch of men who've been abusive, and they're saying, well, woe is me, what do we do now? It's like, well, you got what you asked for, actually. You didn't want men to be men, so you got abusive people instead. And then you're wondering, well, how do we fix it? So to answer your question, we have to get back to being real men. We have to get back to the point where we don't care what the PC culture says, where we don't care if some lady in the gas station says, oh, get away from him. He's bearded and wears leather. That has happened. So what? Great. I had this one biker guy, beer belly, you know, not in shape at all. He says, Josh, there is such a shortage of real men that if I went to the average nightclub right now, I would have to beat them away with sticks, because what's left is such an effeminate male that there are actually women out there making YouTube videos saying, I can't find a real man, a man that will tell me no, a man that will open the door, a man that will be the leader of the home, a man that will pay for things, a man that will say, hey, I'm going to go kill a dragon for you. So now there's an entire generation of women who are now going to be unsatisfied because there's a void of manhood created by their mothers and their grandmothers.
Yeah, it's frightening. Now, where I live way up in the mountains of Idaho. We don't tolerate that sort of effeminate man thing up here. You know, it just doesn't happen. As a matter of fact, you see real men be real men. I was in the grocery store one day, Josh, and there were these two punk kids, and they were giving the lady at the checkout stand, the register operator, a really bad time, telling her she was fat and telling her she was dumb and ugly. And there were two guys in front of me that had both just come off the ranch. They had their guns, you know, which it's legal up here to carry your gun anywhere you go. And, you know, they had their guns, and they stepped up, and one grabbed one of the kids by the back of the neck, and the other one grabbed the other one by the back of the neck. And they took them with their little feet dangling and took them to the front of the store and tossed them out of the grocery store while everyone in the store started clapping. That's the way that we handle it, you know. And unfortunately, especially in the major cities, we've gotten away from that. That would have elicited a SWAT team response in Southern California, you know.
Yeah.
So what?
But not only that, Mike. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say what that creates, though, it actually creates good men. See, those two kids who were run out of the store are now more likely to turn into good men. That's the part that we seem to have missed. When I talk to you or me or my dad or, you know, whoever, there was a level of accountability that men gave to men. I remember my dad told a story where he was stealing watermelons out of the neighbor's garden, and the neighbor shot him with salt.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he got in trouble. It hurt. He wouldn't sit down for 2 weeks. But guess what? That's what created a great man. And even in nature, we see this. There was a nature preserve in Africa that removed all the bull elephants. And there were female elephants and the kids. And these kid elephants were destroying the place. They were being mean to the female elephants. They were stepping on alligators and hippopotamuses. They were knocking down trees. They were acting terrible. So the park ranger said, well, let's bring in the male elephants again. The male elephants come in, and they start smacking these kids around, saying, no, you don't just step on a hippopotamus, right? Well, because of that, it brought order back to the camp. And this is one of the reports that the liberal media doesn't want you to know about, because even in nature, there is a role for masculinity. It's not toxic, it's formative. It's what's built and protected people for so long.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I think that especially the younger generation is afraid to stand up. They don't like
Yeah.
conflict. They're afraid to voice what they think. And it's like, listen, when I grew up, I used to get spankings. I got grounded. I got things taken away from me. My dad would say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and fly right. Uh,
Yep.
Things like that. I mean, and it was clear like what you had to do and what the role was of the male in the family. Now that's not to say, I mean, what you said is absolutely accurate. I mean, in the old days, if a real man saw another man abusing a woman, he'd tune him up. But today, if that
Yep.
happens, you call the SWAT team. And so what it to
Yep.
me, in my opinion, is what that has done is it's created a society today where, the first thing you do in a conflict is you pick the phone up and call 911 because you want someone else that is actually a real man, a police officer or a policewoman who's a real woman, to come out and take care of your problem for you instead of taking care of it yourself. And I think we're at crisis state with that here. And as Christians, I think we need to stand up and begin showing by example, like you do, and like some of the other men that I call friends do. Show by example what it really means to be a real man. You think that's what we need to do?
Yeah, and I think that message has to come back into churches. If you go to most churches, these are some of the most effeminate, soft, milquetoast men I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they're in there wearing cardigans and pink polo shirts, and not that I guess that's a bad. I don't own any of that, but you just kind of get the picture. Like, these are the emotional, whiny sort of men. And what church has become, we love to criticize college campuses for being safe space for millennial snowflakes. Well, church has largely become a safe space for emotional Christian conservatives. That's where they go to feel good, and that's where they go to have my gifts recognized and all this other sort of crap. If you actually look at the church from the Bible, it was more of a training ground where they said, okay, where are we going to take over next? How do we teach these people the rules? And there are rules. And hey, did you cut your willy off yet? Because you need to be circumcised. Like, they were legit, dude. They were legit. And we're all like, oh, come as you are to worship. It's like, come on. Come on. We look like a bunch of Girl Scouts. I mean, for goodness sakes, you can't even call the Boy Scouts anymore. They have to be called Scouts because too many people were offended. This has got to stop, or what's going to happen is going to be way worse than what they're going to try to prevent. Because there is no end to this that ends peacefully.
Yeah, no, there isn't. And that's the point. There is no end that ends peacefully with this and what's going on. And the really frightening thing is, and Jeannie and I have adult kids that one's still in college, the other one just graduated, and I've got one going to medical school and another one that teaches that works in the university in California. And we're talking with them, and it's like the poison that they are taught in school. It's a socialist regime, and this is the generation that's going to lead our country. And it's frightening because what do you do? Where do you find a man to stand up? I mean, Trump, you can say a lot of stuff about Trump, and all you got to do is go online and see all the crap, but one thing nobody can say about Trump, he's not afraid to stand up to anybody if he believes in what he is doing. And we need men to be like that,
even with Trump and this whole hamburger thing where he bought him fast food, that was great. It was absolutely great. The quarterback came out and said, oh, man, that's awesome. Think about it. If you were a 20-year-old college football player, do you want to go to some fancy dinner where they give you like a half-inch size piece of meat on a 1-inch cracker and they call it fancy food and you'd be happy? No. If some dude says, hey, I'm going to go buy $12,000 worth of fast food, now we're having a party, dude. Like, this is awesome. So, I don't get what the problem is, actually.
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
It's just... it's just stupid. But here's something that's kind of alarming, Mike. So you have this Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez lady out there, right? whose seven flavors are just backcrap crazy. And she has all these socialist ideas, and they did a poll recently, and 57% of Democrats actually support socialism, which is not your grandparents' socialism, by the way. So if you're like, well, my dad voted for JFK, JFK would have had a fit. JFK would have said, this person is exactly what I'm trying to kill in Russia. Just FYI. But beyond that, the really scary part is not the 57% of Democrats that support socialism. It was the 14% of Republicans that support it. Where you have to really start saying, oh my gosh, what is happening? Even in churches, this last presidential election cycle, I was asked by millennials, Josh, can you explain to my parents why Jesus was a socialist? We really have to get back to the Bible, start at page 1, read the entire thing, and say, okay, I'm going to be what it describes in here.
Yeah, it's frightening. I'm scanning here looking for an article. I don't see it right now. But you know what she did? Her latest thing is that she's exploring how you can take property away from landowners that are problematic.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
she's talking about apartment buildings, but where do you stop the line? Am I problematic because I own 4 acres and I live in the mountains, and if I want to walk out my front door and shoot a coyote that's coming through the property, does that make me someone that you're going to come take my land for that?
According to her, yeah.
Where does it stop? And you look at all this, and I find it so interesting that a lot of people that we associate with talk about the New World Order and one religion, and oh, we're so afraid of all that. Hey, look, I'll give you something to be afraid of. Be afraid of what's right in front of your face and stand up and do something about it, right?
Yep. But this is why we have to really stop focusing on D.C. so much and really get back to what works. Love Trump or hate Trump, the thing that it taught us is he's not going to drain it. He's not. And the reason is, and it has nothing to do against him at all, it's too big. The thing is too big to drain. Not only that, it's designed to be evil. Washington, D.C., by design, is designed to not work. Politics has one product, and it's legislation, which means regardless of which party wins, the only thing they can offer you is more government. The government has gotten bigger under Donald Trump. It got bigger under Obama. It got bigger under George Bush. So what we really have to start doing is saying, okay, obviously we're not going to win this fight if we just focus on D.C. We have to go back to the county level and say there's about 3,600 counties in this country. How do we win back county by county by county? If we did that, then it wouldn't matter what D.C. did. But the problem is everybody knows where Ocasio-Cortez was a waitress in Brooklyn. However, most people don't know one name of one county board member in the county where they actually live. And that's a problem.
It's interesting you bring that up. I saw a poll the other day where the question was, do you attend your local political meetings and rallies in the county or city that you live in? And 96% of the people answered not ever. So if you don't do that, if you don't get active, then what do you expect? You reap what you sow. That's the bottom line. So, Josh, we're gonna let you go here. I promised your beautiful wife that I would only keep you for 20 minutes, and we're at 23 minutes right now. But I want to let people know you can find Josh at joshtolley.com. Go over there. He's got an amazing website. It's filled with information you can check out, which I simply love. Check out his the Purple Monkey. Go there. Check that out. That's all about Josh's training that he does all across the country. Avail yourself of this. The man is an author, a speaker, and he does just some wonderful stuff to help you cut the tie between being a slave to someone else and working them and having your own business and being able to be in control of your own financial growth and well-being. Josh, thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Mike, always great talking to you. Get to hear the Watchmen, everybody. Just get there, do whatever you have to do to get there. I even thought about like sending a video just so you could play it and be like, "Hey, everybody."
Maybe what we'll do.
And if we are going to do that thing in August,
Josh, what we'll do is we're going to get a big picture of you, a big like statue cardboard cutout, and we'll set it next to a table there. You can send someone and send your books, and they can have a table, and it'll be people can go put their arm around the cardboard cutout and stuff like that. So, but we will miss you folks.
That'd be awesome.
Go to hearthewatchman.com. Get your tickets today. I think after this interview, I'm actually going to put a discount code up there to save you $20 off your ticket purchase if you just enter where you put promotional code Josh20. That way you can save $20 and you can come there and we'll have the Josh is here in spirit moment. So, Josh, we love you. Again, say hello to your lovely wife, Brittany, and your beautiful new son.
I will. And hopefully I see you in August.
Awesome. Well, listen, God bless everyone. Right. That's going to wrap it up today here on the Watchman's Report. Remember, as I always say, there is nothing you can't do with Jesus in your heart, except nothing at all. Get out there, get into the fight. Be a good servant of the Lord. We'll see you next time here on the Watchman's Report.